Hello, thanks for your questions. This is Flipper Nora. I didn't know that was a thing. Sorry if this sounds dumb, but what is hip dysplasia? It doesn't sound dumb at all, honestly, please don't worry. So to summarise in short, hip dysplasia is basically where your hip socket is not deep enough and it's too shallow to hold the top of your leg bone. So the top of your leg bone is called you've got your femur, you've then got your femoral head, which is the bony bit at the top which sits inside your hip socket. Your hip socket is called your acetabulum or acetabular socket. In hip dysplasia, if this is the hip socket and this is the edge of the hip socket and this is the femoral head, they sit snugly like this. Your hip socket is the deepest, most stable joint in your body. Sorry, dog jumped on the setting. So with hip dysplasia, it goes from having really good coverage like this to having this kind of issue. So the femoral head isn't covered properly, which leads to problems like instability, pain, clicking, popping, dislocation, subluxation. It's a little bit inconvenient. Now there are two different types of hip dysplasia. You have hip dysplasia that you can be born with. I can't quite remember what it's called, but if you've ever had a child, you will know they take baby away. They take baby's legs, bend them, so they're like this, and they then wriggle pelvis backward and forward like this, and that's checking for hip dysplasia. If it's detected, what they can then do is pop infant or child into something called a hip spica cast, which is a cast which goes from ankle all the way up to kind of middle of the abdomen. It covers both legs. And there is a bar in between the knees to keep the pelvis basically in this position and the legs in this position. What that does is it allows child or infant's pelvis to grow properly. So obviously when you're little you have growth plates in your bones and they're where your bones grow and expand from. The spica cast holds the hips snugly into the hip sockets, so then when pelvis grows it basically allows it to grow properly and you literally grow out of the hip dysplasia. However, if you have developmental hip dysplasia, which is one which is detected normally in late teens to early adulthood. However, if you have developmental hip dysplasia, which is detected in like late teens to early adulthood, your growth plates are fused, your pelvis isn't going to grow anymore, and there's not going to be any kind of medical reason as to why a spica cast would help. That's past the point of that being helpful. So then you're looking at things like physiotherapy, steroid injections, surgery, and various other treatment and management options as preventative measures for osteoarthritis, which can develop as a co-problem to hip dysplasia. I hope that kind of answers your question. Now if you've got any more, please feel free to ask. What I am going to do is just leave little links in the video in the comment section about the different management options in adulthood, so the physio, the treatment and everything like that, just so everything's in one place for people. And yeah, I hope that helps. Any more questions, feel free to ask. Bye everybody.